And when it comes to distancing myself from someone's life, it's normal for me to wonder what will happen. Reaching that day when the person finally regrets it, realizes that I'm no longer there, misses me, looks for me, or, on the contrary, what remains for me is to accept that this cannot be, that this will never be, and to get over it. A big key to being able to know more or less our chances of one thing or another happening. It lies in two things. One, more arbitrary, that is beyond our control, which are external factors, and with external factors, I will narrow it down more to there being other people in the picture. The reason this person is not valuing us is because they have someone else in their heart. The reason this person is not with us is because they choose to be with another person. This evidently is a factor that has a significant impact. But then there is another thing, and it is that you really have to ask yourself what you have contributed to the other person's life. And here I want to explain something to you. Many times we believe that we have only contributed what the other person has been able to appreciate. And that's not the case. You have contributed everything that the other person has been willing to receive. And I am going to explain this part better. And it's that there is a very big difference that we sometimes don't see as such between someone being willing to receive what we give them, even if they don't give us the same in return, and that person not being willing to receive it. It changes a lot, really. It changes a great deal. What happens is that, as in the first scenario, by not receiving it back, we don't end up feeling that this person, as I say that person, really indeed at the moment they are receiving, they are not able to appreciate it. What is usually the most common reason? The fact that it hasn't cost them any effort. Humans, when we receive something, anything, and I'm not just talking about the romantic level, you can apply it to any level, right? No matter how valuable it is, if we receive it without effort, it's much more difficult for us to appreciate it. That's how we function. However, it's not the same, as I say, for me to decline something, as to genuinely not want it. That is to say, imagine, for example, that you like someone and you want to be in communication with that person. And this person doesn't reach out to you, but you really want to. And it's always you who initiates the conversation, who is there. It's not the same as this person ignoring you and not engaging. That is to say, it would be like giving someone a gift and them not wanting to accept it, right? Like, no, I decline it, right? Even though you have to take on all the burden of the conversation, taking the initiative, being attentive. This person does. Engage to a greater or lesser extent. They do give you responses. They do reply to you. So, of course, evidently, you don't feel like this person values the communication, because in the end, you are aware that, oh my, if I don't go and seek them out, they don't seek me. So I sense that the day I stop doing it, things will just stay as they are. I always have to be the one who asks, who shows interest, who remembers, who gets informed. And this person, on the other hand, does not. They don't show all that for me. Of course, indeed, why? Because they are not valuing you. But that's not the same as them not wanting it at all. That is to say, that person is also not aware, but they are receiving it without giving it the proper value. Now, what happens when there comes a moment when we lose something? Let's look at this with an example outside of love. Imagine that one morning you wake up and go down to the kitchen to have breakfast. It turns out that I, for no reason, have prepared a fresh orange juice for you, right? At first you might say, oh, what a joy, right? At the beginning, and even in these relationships where we are not valued, at the start they usually do value us more, right? And it is precisely that seeing, that reciprocity which invites you at the beginning to continue, right? In many cases. So well, by valuing us at least, the response is usually pleasant, usually positive, okay? And I keep serving the orange juice, but as time goes on, there comes a point where the person doesn't even appreciate it. That is to say, as I come down and take it for granted, I know I have my orange juice. So one morning you come down and besides the orange juice, I've left you a bowl of fruits. A novelty. Oh, look, nice. All right, now I have my fruits. And day after day, I make it my own. I'm used to my orange juice and my fruits. And 2 weeks later, you come down and I give you cake and cookies. That is to say, I'm giving you so much even though you don't pay me the same. Therefore, even though it's not easy for me to prepare a cake, and of course I reach a point where I say, I think this person doesn't care. I think this person doesn't care that I'm giving them orange juice, fruit, cookies, cakes. After all, because if they did care, I don't know. Maybe they would leave me a thank you note, offer to pay, or what I really hope for, which is what I truly desire. To come down one morning and find that they have also prepared breakfast for me and have shown some thoughtfulness towards me. Then there comes a moment when I realize, why am I doing this? All of this? For whom am I squeezing? Oranges, preparing pastries? If this person doesn't care, and probably indeed the person comes down, has breakfast on autopilot, takes for granted that they have the right to all this feast, doesn't even stop to think about what's behind it, and indeed believes that it has little significance. Take the breakfast away from that person. Let them come down one morning and realize that the countertop is empty. And I would say, wow, where is my orange juice, my fruits, my pastries? What is this? Well, this is the moment of clarity that we feel when we have allowed ourselves to be given something, and despite not valuing it for the effort, we lose it. At the very moment we no longer have it is when we become aware of what we were receiving. That's how we operate. It may seem illogical, it may seem like, but why not? How could you not realize? If the juice is delicious, if you like the cookies, how could you not realize? How did you not realize that you had to give me the same for this to continue? Well, because that lack of effort, us accepting it, taking it for granted, and not even giving it much value. It's like, well, after all, it's just breakfast. If I don't have breakfast, nothing happens to me either, right? Are you sure? Come on, keep going down to the kitchen. Keep finding the countertop empty. Do you really not care? Then I tell you that if that person has allowed themselves to be loved by you, even without reciprocating, even without giving back, there are quite a few possibilities. That at the moment you distance yourself, you pull away, they will feel the weight and regret it. Another point to consider here is if, for example, you have made some attempt, right? You've stopped making breakfast and received a little thank you note from this person, right? Like, hey, I actually really enjoy waking up in the mornings, or I miss the orange juice. That is, if you've ever tried to distance yourself, and that's when that person made some move, some gesture, even if it wasn't up to par. What is it showing you? It's showing you that indeed your actions are having an impact on them, they are getting through, and they don't really want to lose it. They aren't aware that they want to have it, but they are aware that they don't want to lose it. And that's why they do this, which sometimes we consider to have a lot of manipulation behind it. The person doesn't love me, but when I leave, when I distance myself, they throw me that crumb, they hold me back. It's like they want me to be unhappy. No, sometimes it's not even that twisted. Sometimes, as I say, it's a much more instinctive mechanism. The person doesn't overthink it. Simply, obviously, when they lose something they like, it's like they say, oh no, I do want it, right? Without really realizing sometimes the harm it causes you, which is to say, do you realize that while I'm here making breakfast for you, I'm not cooking for anyone else, and then you go out to eat or live your life, and I'm here wasting my time anyway? Let's leave the analogy there. But I think it's understood, which is to say, we believe that for someone to regret losing something, they must have valued it when they received it. And that's not the case. It's enough that they wanted to receive it. And here we have to be a bit honest, because there are people who indeed do not want to receive. And it's hard for us, isn't it? Sometimes we become stubborn, don't we? Or we've had something really minor with someone, and well, I'm going to step back, and so on. No, let's be honest, there are fewer chances that this person is going to miss you. Why? Because you haven't yet had the opportunity to contribute. That is to say, the part of contributing beforehand is important when it comes to time. If I've had a very small interaction with a person, and this person hasn't reciprocated, and I step back, to be honest, in the end, I haven't had time to contribute. And it's very likely that time will simply cause the matter to dissipate and remain there. But also for me, which, if the person isn't reciprocating from the very first moment, it's not bad. But if I'm in one of those situations where I feel terrible because I'm very clear that the moment I step back, the person won't do anything, because they have shown me for a long time that they haven't valued anything about what it is I have done, and I am aware that, as I say, I carry the weight. So I deduce, well, if I'm doing everything, this person is fine, they let me give, but the moment I stop doing, that's it. And indeed, at the beginning, it will be like that. At the beginning, it will be like that. But I repeat, if this person has let you, you have been contributing, and they may not have been able to appreciate it at that moment because it didn't cost them anything, because you didn't demand anything in return, because you kept giving, even if it wasn't reciprocated. It doesn't mean they won't miss it later. But of course, there has to be a sincere movement on your part. And that sincere movement, even though I'm explaining all this to you, should not be conditioned by trusting that the person will come. Because doing it solely for the person to come is often one of the reasons why this doesn't work out well. So I really want you to understand that you don't have to often feel down with thoughts like, I know they won't value me. I know they'll never regret it. I know they'll never look for me. Because that's not true. You don't know that. This person doesn't know it either. They won't know until they stop receiving it. This person, as of today, doesn't really know how much they value breakfast and will only become aware of it when they stop receiving it. This is why it's not that this person is deceiving you. That is to say, yes, today they are underestimating you. Yes, today they don't value it. But that's exactly why you have to stop serving it. And the moment you stop, they stop having it, stop having you there. You stop looking for them. They no longer know about you. That's when they will become truly aware of what they were receiving, what you mean in their life, and what they want. And here at this point, there are big surprises. What happens? As I said at the beginning, there's this part that we can say is about what happens between the two of you, but we cannot forget that I am myself and my circumstances, which sometimes include external factors playing a role, as I mentioned before, the most common being. We have to consider the possibility that there might be other people involved, and sometimes this doesn't go as smoothly because the person already had other interests planned. Another very important point to keep in mind, which we often forget, is what ultimately makes it so that even if people come looking for us, the outcome doesn't change. It's about making the most of the time we've spent apart. To appreciate ourselves a little more. Truly, do some internal work, because I have to understand one thing. In these situations that we have seen, right? These are the ones where I think this person is not going to look for me because all this time they haven't appreciated me. I have to be aware of my part, which is that I have been willing to stay for sometimes quite a long time in a situation where I wasn't feeling valued. And despite that, I was willing to stay. This speaks of a problem with self-love. Why? Because only the lack of self-love is what allows me to stay in such a situation. There's no other reason. When I truly love myself and I feel that the other person is not reciprocating, this conflicts with my beliefs, with the concept I have of myself and what I deserve. And it's this conflict that leads me to not tolerate the situation. I can't tolerate it, meaning this leads me to either lose attraction for the person or simply not be willing to make more efforts. What happens if I'm not loving myself well? Then I meet someone and this person doesn't value me. In some way, they are confirming what I believe. Let's imagine, for example, the following to make it clearer. An example from outside, right? Suppose someone wants to offend me and tells me that I have short legs. But I really know that I don't have short legs. So since I know I don't have short legs, even if they try to offend me, they can't, right? It's like I'll think, wow, what nonsense. And it won't affect me. But now let's say this person makes fun of my nose. And I have a huge complex about my nose. What happens? What they say is going to affect me. Why? Because it connects with what I believe. So that's why if I don't love myself well or enough and I meet someone and that person shows disinterest, doesn't reciprocate, doesn't love me as much as they should, it connects with my beliefs when I don't love myself, with what I truly believe I am worth and deserve. And that's why I tolerate it and stay in the situation. Because deep down, it resonates with me. What happens? The moment I distance myself, step away. Let's say that distance in space demonstrates to them, without having to do anything else, that I do love myself because I have loved myself enough to no longer accept this, to no longer settle for so little. And gradually over time, that person's perception is restored. They begin to value, as I said, what they didn't value due to a lack of effort. And they attribute the corresponding effort. But now, if that person comes and looks for me, and after reestablishing contact, after agreeing that they want to, they might tell me they regret it, that they miss me, that now they do see, and so on, right? If I haven't done internal work, what will happen is that in a short time, even if that person has been able to value me from a distance, up close they will start to undervalue me again. Because I am not valuing myself in the first place. That's how it is. So I have to understand that my part is just as important as the other person's part. In fact, the other person's part could be of no concern to me. It's about the less you are concerned with the other. Once you distance yourself, the better. Truly. But make use of the time. Use the time to realize what has led you to stay so long in a situation where you are not being reciprocated. What's going on? Why don't you have a good concept of yourself? Why don't you feel deserving of a balanced, fulfilling love? And work on it. Truly work on it. Because valuing yourself is an indispensable requirement for others to do the same. Well, I hope this video truly helps you and that you liked it. If that's the case and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, of course I invite you to do so and hit the bell, because I would love for us to see each other again very soon. And until then, as always, I send you a big kiss.